So we know the strength of Bernie Sanders. So the New York happened. Bernie Sanders lost by 15 percentage points, even though the exit polls had him only losing by 6%. That's kind of interesting. I don't know. Electronic voting. I really trust it. I don't. Anyway, well, first of all, here's what happened, right? So Hillary won 58 to 42. Okay. So that's actually, what is that, 16%? Well, this is with anyway. So she won by slightly over 300,000 votes, or just under 300,000 votes, right? So you see it right there. 1,054,000 to 763. But guess what? There's 3 million voters, independent voters in New York City. Now, that's how well she did, and people who didn't know about Bernie Sanders until recently couldn't vote for him. If you weren't registered as a Democrat before last October, you couldn't vote for him. And so nobody knew about Bernie until recently. So that's why he makes up ground everywhere he goes in the poll. So this is what happened, right? So, so there's 3 million independent voters, which is Bernie Sanders' strength. So he loses by a little under 300,000 votes. There's 3 million independents who aren't allowed to vote in New York's closed primary. And believe me, if they were, the independents go for Bernie by 80%.
I was reading on one of my favorite social networking software yesterday about Clinton supporters blaming independents for their irresponsibility. Seriously, because they didn't know to change before October of last year.
Oh, because they didn't know that they were going to want to vote for a guy they didn't know was even running yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so irresponsible.
Additionally, they say, according to The Atlantic, 37% of voters under the age of 30, the Vermont senator's core group of supporters, aren't registered to a political party in New York City.
So now look at this. So in 2008, Hillary Clinton beat Barack Obama by almost the exact same amount. Actually, it was a little bit more, 57 to 40. So that's 17%. And
that's interesting.
And look at how she won these in blue. That's the counties that Hillary Clinton won back in 2008. Look, she won almost the whole state. Look at now. This is where she beat Clinton. So she beats Bernie Sanders almost by the same vote count. But Bernie Sanders wins all the counties. He won the majority of counties. Look at that. All the green, that's Bernie. The blue is Hillary. So he kicked her ass as far as county. It's crazy how that could happen, yet he still lost.
So he wins New York, but loses New York City.
Yes, that's what they're saying. And there happened to be 120-some thousand voters purged from the rolls in New York City. How did that happen? In Brooklyn, where he's from. So my point about this is, do not listen to the mainstream news media. This is not representative of the state of the feelings of how people are feeling right now in New York State, because if the independents were allowed to vote, he would have kicked her ass. So don't freak out. It's important Bernie gets as many delegates as he can going forward. This is not over. By the way, this is about a movement. This is about a progressive revival on the left. This is the left. This is the left telling people we're sick and tired of our government being run of, for, and by corporations. It's over. There's a progressive coalition happening, and Bernie's bringing new people into the process. 3 million independents were not allowed to vote in New York. Keep that in mind. Going forward, he needs to get as many delegates as he can, so it's important everybody shows up to vote in the next week and going forward. June 7th, I still predict there's over 1,000 delegates left to be chosen. There's over 500 delegates in California alone. So don't freak out. Do not freak out. Far from over. Stay with Bernie. Feel the burn. Don't listen to the mainstream news media. They're trying to throw the election.
I'm not going to freak out, but I may spaz out.
Jim's going to spaz. Don't freak.